who's benefiting the most when I don't know my own boundaries? The people who cross my own boundaries. This experience of my life created me who I am today. So this is the beauty of like taking the full ownership of who you are today without shaming any parts that, yes, I wasn't fair towards the women in my past because I didn't know how to, because this is what I grew up.
One of the hardest lessons I ever learned was love is not enough. Love is not enough, and you need those skills. One of the sexiest things a man can receive is to feel trusted. A man can't relax if he doesn't feel like his decisions and his opinions are being respected and considered. And I've noticed that you cannot be heard until the other person feels heard.
So whenever I get triggered, I see those triggers as a blessing because there's so much information. In the moment when I get triggered, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the wound, that's the pain point. How can I really acknowledge this part of me which got triggered in this moment? How can I heal that place?
Kasia is the most woman I've ever met in my life, fully expressed. You say your work is Tantra. I actually disagree. I think your thing is actually showing and demonstrating what it's like to be a full woman in her complete feminine, in that wild side. I've seen you do things where I'm just like, wow. That would scare a lot of men, quite frankly, but I love that. I actually was like, oh. And I think that's really absolutely beautiful. And I think you are saying things that no one else is saying. What I love about you is you are not scared to say anything. You're so authentically you. And I actually think that is your largest superpower. It's not your Tantra teaching. It's showing up with complete authenticity. And I've seen you take so much criticism online, on your Instagram, whatever, and people rail into you hard, and you just like, it's like water off the duck's back, and you show up with love and be like, you know what? You just said the meanest thing ever, and I'm gonna show you love anyways, like complete authenticity. So I am curious, how did you get to be you?
Thank you so much, Joe, for the question. Such a beautiful question. And it takes me back on a journey to my past. So the moment I realized that I'm living in a cage, and like cage has those bars. So the bars I made from like, how do I look? What people think about me. And all of those things, how do I look and what people think about me, create the cage. And then I'm like, oh my God, why I cannot free myself? Because I care so much what other things. So sometimes I'm not being truthful to myself. I'm crossing my own boundaries. I'm a people pleaser and so on, because I'm in my own cage. So the moment I realized that I don't want to live this way and that I'm completely uncaging myself, but it was requiring a lot of courage. A courage of like, yes, I'm gonna stay alone for a second, because all of a sudden, if I was a people pleaser and all of a sudden I start to say no, who's benefiting the most when I don't know my own boundaries? The people who cross my own boundaries. So when I started saying no, it was uncomfortable for people. When I stopped drinking alcohol, because it's like my story is like, I speak about everything what happened in my life. I'm gonna speak about my depression. I'm gonna speak about my drug addiction. I'm gonna speak about alcohol addiction. I'm gonna speak about not respecting my body. I'm gonna speak about so many things, because there's not one section of my life when someone's gonna say, oh, you're so sane today, you work with sexuality, you work with Tantra, you teach women, and you did this or that in your past, because I already said it. I'm like, yes, this experience of my life created me who I am today. So this is the beauty of like taking the full ownership of who you are today without shaming any parts that, yes, I wasn't fair towards the women in my past because I didn't know how to, because this is what I grew up. I grew up in an environment when women were seeing each other as enemies. So if I grew up because I didn't know better, I can be who I am today. And it's like, knowing all of this, I know that I'm not going to hurt the women, because I don't want to create a reality where the women are like, what is the word? where the women are enemies for each other. Like, I want us to support each other. So I just speak about everything what happens. And I remember like this recently, someone commented on my post and say, "Oh my God, you need a therapy." And my answer was like, I prefer to live my life needing therapy than living yours without it. And that's the water just moving away from the duck, as you said, or whatever the expression is.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I am here with Kasia Nast. Welcome, everyone. This is one of my favorite humans on this planet. And we are writing a book together, which I'm really excited about, very sort of in flow, where we're asking the questions of what questions do we need to ask to know if this is going to be a good partner for you. And what's interesting about that is it began with a proposal I gave to you, which was, Kasia, let's go through this process. And at the end of this, if we feel like we'd be good partners, we'll go into a 3-month container. And the reason for that is, quite honestly, you couldn't get out of it for 3 months. You had to stay in it for 3 months and see what it's like. Because this is a woman I've known for many years. You've dated many of my closest friends. So I get to know you from a very intimate perspective for many years. So, and this is kind of where this idea came out of. We have not been dating. And when we looked at this proposal, you said yes.
It sounded a little bit crazy.
Yes. And then you looked and you're like, I'm actually going to do ayahuasca for 30 days with no food and water. I'm going to be at this and this and this. And basically our schedules had like a couple days in 8 months. So sadly, we are not trying that at the moment, maybe in the future, but someone I love very, very dearly. And Kasia has dedicated a lot of her life in the form of learning Tantra and creating more presence. She's also a reality TV star in Poland and is, has people coming up to her saying, "Can I take my picture with you, Kasia?" And I'm really happy to be here and have these conversations with you. So the first sort of question I have for you is your journey in deciding to make Tantra a big part of what you're sharing with the world. First, for yourself, is you are becoming an expert in Tantra. Why do you need this for you? Because I've noticed that everyone becomes experts at the thing they need the most for themselves. Why do you need this for you?
I needed it because I needed healing, because my relationship to my own sexuality was very unhealthy. My first partner, he was like a gangster, and we've been kind of explore. I don't even know if you know this part about me, but it's like we've been exploring a very edgy ways of connecting. And this is how I learned like what love is through the intimacy, which was very full of like adrenaline and it was nothing what the girl who's 15 years old should explore. But from whatever reason, the universe guided me through those experiences so I could really discover what I need in my own process of healing. And I've been following this path for many, many years. And then one day I crossed the path with Tantra and I'm like, oh, wow, it's different way of relating. It's different way of building intimacy with someone, completely basing on different structure, on different foundation of different qualities. And more I was diving deeper into that, I was like, wow, it's actually fascinating how much I need to look at it within me in order to fully heal, to be fully connected to the pleasure, because I didn't understand what was the pleasurable. I was like searching for pleasure outside of myself when the real pleasure in Tantra you find within you.
Beautiful. And in this journey, what are some of the main takeaways for someone that hasn't explored that tantric path? What are some of the main takeaways that someone might find for themselves?
So I would say in order to learn what is Tantra, first we need to understand what is Tantra not. Because it's like, I have guys texting me like, oh my God, you're a Tantra teacher, probably know everything about sexuality. And I'm like, yeah, this is how the mainstream create the field around Tantra. Everything goes into sexuality, but it's like 10%. 10% of Tantra is sexuality, and the rest, it's presence, it's the breath, it's the sound, it's the movement, it's how much we can be with each other when we're talking, how much we can connect with the nature, how much we can look within ourselves and just really see our shadows and the darkness without desiring to project anything on the outside world. So I'm like, that's a real Tantra, the connection to self.
Did you find any of that?
I found all of this, babes, because it's like my discovery started from this place of like, okay, realizing how unhealthy my relationship with my sexuality was, and then, okay, how can I connect intimate with myself from like a very beautiful and nourishing and gentle angle? Because it's like I realized that being in sexual containers with a man, I was really crossing my own boundaries because I was searching for love. And there's this beautiful saying that the men use love for sex and the women use sex for love. And in the end, we just want to have something of that, but we're just coming from completely two different angles.
I love that quote. Men use sex
For
for
love.
love, and women use love for sex. No, that's incorrect. Let's try it again.
Men use love for sex, and the women use sex for love.
Wow. You think that's true?
I totally feel that's true. Like, we are such a manipulators as a woman. We know exactly how to manipulate a man, but in the end, we end up very lonely because we're not speaking our truth. We don't know what we really want, because on the shadow side of that is like, I just want to be loved. I just want to be chosen. And instead of that, I'm playing this like a role of like being like putting the costume of like, yeah, I'm gonna act like a porn star. I'm gonna make the sounds, and I'm gonna be acting in the way which is not pleasurable for my body, because my body needs time. And there's this beautiful metaphor with water and the fire. I don't know if you heard about it.
Tell me.
So it's fascinating, because when you think about the sexuality as the fire, as a man, yeah. So we have a stove, and there is a heat. So you turn off the fire, and this is you as a man. You just activate it really fast, and you're ready. The fire is there. But with us, it takes time. It's like a water. So you're taking a pot, you're putting a water on a fire, and it takes time. It takes time to heat. And then basically when you turn off the fire, you're just gone. The fire is gone, but the water stays hot. So this is how our sexuality works. And once we understand how different it is for you as a man and for me as a woman, there's something Arya explained, it's beautiful. It's called curves of pleasure. So we have a different curves of pleasure, and dropping this idea that it's like everybody just falling straight to that target, which is like mainstream sex. It's like there's like everything is like genitals oriented or goal oriented. So we rush because you as a man, you want to make the woman come, because then you feel better, like, oh, I made my woman come. And we the same, I just want to make him turn on, and I just want him ejaculate. When it's like in Tantra, you drop all of this, you're just so present with the breath, sound, and movement, and everything what is happening. It's like you slow down, you go into the valley, and the valley takes you in such a beautiful places. But it requires presence, because it's like, if you're going into the experience with the man or with the woman, and you're repeating the same patterns, because you know that, oh, I touched there and it worked with someone, like it worked with the woman. So I'm gonna just keep on repeating the same movement. But it's not only that we're changing during our menstrual cycle, we change during the day. So the woman you're getting into the connection with in the morning, even though it's going to be the same woman, she's not going to be the same woman in the evening, because she might already change and feel different flows. So that's why the presence is so important, because if I'm present with your breath, with your sound, with your movements, you're giving me signals. Your body is giving me signals. So it's just about tuning yourself into listening.
It's a great analogy for between the sexuality of a man and a woman. Although I have to say, I don't believe that's actually true all the time. I have been with women that get turned on so fast and are grabbing me and want insertion, want penetration very quickly, even before I feel like it's been enough. And I've heard many things like takes 45 minutes for a woman to be ready for penetration, and and I've actually found that that's not true. That I think it's a good guideline to say, like, don't rush for penetration. Take your time. And quite frankly, I have found women's yonis pulling me in. And I think that's a good guideline. Instead of trying to insert, let it take you and actually just take you and pull you in, and it will happen, right? And it's like even just holding it there for a while, and waiting and waiting and waiting until her body just is like, please, I want this now. Wow, I'm getting hot in here. And but I think it's really beautiful. And I've also agreed that women's sexuality tends to stay warmer for much longer, even after the physical sort of passionate touch or connection goes, especially if she hasn't had an orgasm, it sometimes can stay for much, much longer. And it's like being in a sexuality that's elongated over long periods of time. And it's like keeping that sexual sort of water warm. And what are the ways that keep that sexual water warm for you if it's not just that physical sexual touch?
So first, I desire to make a comment about what you shared about the women being like so ready after like a few minutes. They're like, oh, I just want a penetration. So working with women, I work with hundreds of women, and I work with sexuality. And a lot of those women, even though they're like, yeah, take me, grab me, they don't want it. Their body is not ready. They mentally think that this is what I want to please my man. So I'm going to step into this role of like, I'm so turned on. I'm going to make sounds. And you're going to believe me, because it's really hard for the man actually to know if I'm ready or not. But if you're paying attention, there are those little details which you can catch, and then you really, really know. But anyways, there's a lot of women who are not in a position to really say what they want because they don't know their own bodies. So if I don't know my own body, how can I explain it to the men? So that's when I'm working with women with sexuality, I'm like, practice self-pleasuring, and not self-pleasuring that I'm just taking the vibrator and I'm just gonna make myself orgasm, because then my body gets used to the one type of stimulation. So then when I'm with the man, my clit only will ask for this type of stimulation. So that's why it's the ritual. And going back to what you shared, that women's body need 20 to 40 minutes. My Tantra teacher, she calls it love play. So we need 20 to 40 minutes love play. And I'm gonna explain why it is, if you allow me, because it's fascinating once we understand this, what is happening. So basically, on my like a mental side, yes, I'm ready. He's there, his cock is hard, so I'm like, yeah, I'm so ready. I just want to jump on him because I want him to feel that I desire him. So it comes from the mind. And then my body still can be not ready. And we need this 20 to 40 minutes because basically when we have a clit, and a lot of people think that the clitoris is only this like a tiny, tiny ball on the top of the yoni.
System.
Yes. So it's not. Basically, it's this whole system, and it's like 10,000 nerves endings. So it goes down exactly as our vulva is.
Kind of like if you look on the inside, the clit would be here, and then it kind of wraps around it.
And it goes like, so the clitoris, yes, it's here, but it goes down. Yeah. So basically what happens from like a physical point of view is like inside there is a pee hole, yeah? So basically when the yoni gets harder and gets full of blood, it cuts the hole, and then the bacteria cannot go inside. So that's why when you're like meeting a new person and there's so much fire and you're like, oh my God, and we're having sex all the time and everywhere, in every fucking laundry machine, and then in the kitchen, and then in the field, and it's just having all the time sex. And then women has quite often she suffers the pee infection, and it happens because our body is not prepared. So the hole is open and the bacteria can get inside. So, but when the yoni gets filled with the blood, then it closes the hole, and then the woman's body is ready. So it's almost like you can use the metaphor. It's like, and Freud said it, that the real women, and he hurt a lot of women by saying it, because he said that the real women can have an orgasm only through penetration, which is a bullshit. But I'm gonna go back to that because I want to first finish the topic about the yoni and the hole. So basically, it's almost like, if my yoni is not prepared, which is not filled with blood, then it's almost like you're trying to have sex with a woman with like a soft lingam. I mean, try to do it. It's gonna be hard. So it's the same for us. I'm like, we're just not ready. So that's why it's so important to check with the woman. And there are like super simple questions, like ask her how she wants to be touched, because a lot of times it's just like this really like aggressive movement, but make it circulate, make it slow, just really use a lot of oil and just spend time, just meditate with her, because it's like, it's such a beautiful way of opening it up. Red flowers, like red roses opens women's sexuality. My yoni opens when I see the red roses. So,
but hold on, I just need to make a place in order for more red roses, please.
So yes, this is how we open up. If I'm gonna have a date with a lover, I'm gonna ask him. I'm like, can you get me a red roses? I'm really forming a very particular request, because I love to get roses, which are red, because my sexuality is open up. So yeah, so it needs time for us to open up so we can fully be ready.
So this is a way to know how, when a woman's ready, and it's a way to know how to not get UTIs. And I think this is actually very important. And, the question surrounding this is that love play, is it all about the physicality, or can it just be what I've noticed? A lot of the love play, or the foreplay, as some people call it, is really just actually about, not even about touching. It's about, like you said, bringing that presence. Maybe it's just being with each other. It's having a conversation that makes you feel really safe and loved. I hear from you a lot. A woman just wants to feel safe. Yeah. That's the first thing. I have some questions around that, because I've actually noticed that many women who feel safe, those are the last people they actually have sex with. That man is not with the safe man. They tend to go for the bad boys and like the charge and the masculine and the knights, and not the safe kings or so on. But that's a different conversation. So the question is part of that love play, or what you're including in foreplay, really just about the connection beforehand and not the physicality?
That's a beautiful question, Joe. And again, thank you so much for that. Because when you think about bodies, we have 5 bodies. Yeah, we have the mental body, we have the physical body, we have energetic body. So it's beautiful when 2 people come together, and especially with a lot of women, we are energetics. There is you can do the test. There are those tests where there's like 5 erotic blueprints. So it's also like really important for people who are about to connect intimate to know what is my erotic blueprint. Because if my erotic blueprint is going to be energetic, and my partner, like with my ex-fiance, we couldn't find a way to connect intimate. And I was like, what is that? And then I started discovering the blueprints, and it turned out that he's very sexual. So something which was hot and fiery for him, which is like, I just want to grab your ass and just spank you and take you and choke you. For me, it was like, no, because my body was energetic. So like for me, where I create a fire is like when we sit, when we eye gaze, when we breathe together, when we bring the energy higher. So it's important to know what is the erotic blueprint, because then we know how to operate and how to meet each other in intimacy. And we say about a woman that it's like our erogenous zone. It's not genitals like mostly with the men. It's our entire body. So when you go into the intimacy with the woman, it starts much earlier than actually ending up in bed. And I'm doing this program for men, which is like how to be a better lover. And the first thing is like, I'm asking the men, I'm like, when it starts being a better lover. And it starts much earlier, from like you going to the flower shop and getting her flowers, or just flirtatious messages, or really like sharing a lot of like words of affirmation of like how much I'm desiring you. Because if I, as a woman, if I feel desired by my man, then it activates the fire within me. And then it's like so many things are important, like the ambient. For a lot of men, surroundings doesn't matter as much as for us, because you're like goal oriented, you're like here, and we move here. So I'm like, okay, how is the smell? How's the lighting? Do we have enough candles? Do we have enough incense? Do I have flowers? Do I have the rose petals? And all of this matters. So that's why it's like whenever I'm teaching about sexuality, and it comes from Ananda Sarita, I'm teaching about create the space. So something called love appointment. So actually we're putting all those, the most important things in the calendar, like pick up the kids from the school, or just buy whatever, buy the insurance for the car, and this and this, and the meetings, everything is in the calendar. And then something which is the bottom of the connection with another human, which is the love making, because this is where we meet our animals meet in the container. It's like, oh, whatever, when we put kids to sleep, and when we did everything, answer all the emails, and we're like super, super tired, but oh my God, we didn't make love for the last 2 months or whatever. And it's like, we have to, because I mean, we're married for 10 years. So I mean, we have to make love time to time. Yeah. So then it's like, we're not creating enough space. So when you're planning it, you can actually design the experience. So then it's not just sex, it's the experience itself. And then we're coming back to your original question. It's like we're sitting with each other. We can look at each other's eyes. We can breathe together. We can slow down, because that's the space where our nervous system can really exhale. There's no expectations. You don't need to be hard all the time. I don't need to be wet. We are just so raw as we are, as two beautiful humans with each other.
Sounds beautiful. So there's a program you have to teach men how to be better lovers. Yeah. Amazing. I think a lot of men, this should be taught in schools probably. If I take that, what am I going to learn? Can you summarize some of the things that we're going to learn?
So it starts from being a better lover, starts much before we actually enter the bedroom. And then bringing the slowness. And it's like bringing the slowness for the women, it's also bringing the pleasure for the men, because men are very goal-oriented in the lovemaking. And it's like, quite often, it's like you grew up in porn. Most of the men learn sexuality from porn. And how the porn looks, the woman is always wet, she's always ready, and he's just pumping her like really painfully. And then it's like there's so much discomfort in our physical body. And it's like most of the porn ends with like he's taking her from the back and he's just like really pushing her hard, like really fucking her hard. And then when I work with sexuality and I work with women, and sometimes I have like 50 women in the container, and I'm like, how many of you actually like this kind of position, like from the back? And probably like 2 women is going to say yes. And then I'm asking why you don't like it, and like, because it's painful. So, you know, we as a woman, a lot of time we're going to kind of try to find a way so it's less painful in this position, instead of trying to really understand that this is now how I want to treat my body. I want to find a position which is going to be very pleasurable for me. But in order to do it, he cannot just read my mind that this is not pleasurable. I need to communicate it. And then if I'm going to say, oh, you're doing it wrong, it hurts me, of course you're going to go into the survivor and like, okay, I'm not enough, or I'm doing something wrong, or maybe she wants something different. So it's also about a communication, which is like super, super important. So how to be a better lover for both sides, it's about communicating from the place of love and compassion. So how can I communicate something? So it's like, what is my goal? My goal is like, I want to have more pleasure in lovemaking. So how can I communicate certain things to achieve my goal?
What are some of the ways a man can be a better lover?
First of all, slow down. Second of all, don't read every woman in the same way you read the previous one. So just see every woman as a beautiful new experience and just really ask her the question. Ask her, like, does it still feel good? And just really be present with her answers. Get her the flowers. Make sure that you make space for intimacy with her, that it just doesn't happen. Yes, spontaneously is fun, but make sure that you both make space, flirt with her, compliment her. Those are all those like little things we can do for each other.
Thank you. I love all those things. I really, that feels beautiful to hear. And they can take your course and learn this. How long is that?
No, it's just like an online course.
Okay.
So depending how much work you want to do and how much energy you want to put, either you're gonna do like a baby steps, or you can go fast through that. But then again, if you're gonna go fast through these teachings, it's like how much it actually gonna stay with your body.
So what I hear is some ways a man could be a better lover is start before the bedroom, flowers, space, sensuality, compliments, being more present, and then while engaging sexually, be present with the body, read, ask questions if necessary, communicate, and listen the best you can.
Yes. Yes. That's the main things.
You know, I have to say though, there's some curiosity because sometimes I feel like you speak for every woman and it doesn't always feel right to me. So for example, you can only have your experience as a woman. So first of all, you talked about Jaya's sexual blueprints, which let's go over them. The different sexual blueprints that she uses is sexual, sensual, energetic,
Kink and shapeshifter.
kink, and shapeshifter.
Yes.
I actually don't like her framework very much. I think it's way better than anything out there because it's the only one out there.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is many people identify as a shapeshifter most of the time. And some of the things I hear you say, Kasia, I hear you speaking from an energetic and sensual blueprint. And I have met women that are much more sexual blueprint or et cetera, or more kink blueprints. And not to say that you're not right about that, but have you thought about that? Like if you're teaching only from what you know as a woman from Poland who maybe there's some, conditioning as things like red roses or whatever. And I'm not saying that's ever a bad thing to do, but do you feel like you're speaking from only your perspective on that?
Yes and no, because I've been like almost my entire life, I've been very sexual, I've been very kink, so I went through those blueprints and I know that I've been in those fields. I thought it's bringing me pleasure because I was in charge of the experience, but deep inside it was bringing me a lot of pain and loneliness. Because after this kind of experience, when I'm just like giving my body to be used, because in this kind of experiences, most of the time the man is like using, like I'm being spanked by a man or like used or take very hard. And then my body feels traumatized. And then I'm coming back home and I'm like, yeah, I just delivered this amazing fucking love making to this guy or this amazing sex. And then I'm sitting and I'm like, but actually my body hurts. So I'm talking, and that's why I answer yes and no, because when I work with women, and as I said, sometimes I'm going to have like 50 women in the container. So we're sitting in a circle and I'm asking you, how many of you fake orgasm or faked orgasm? And it's like every single woman. Every single woman raises the hand. You know that 80% women, Joe, fake an orgasm. Why? Because the men don't know how to bring their orgasm. So it's easier for me to just fake it so he can actually leave me because he's trying so hard. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no fucking way he's gonna get me anywhere with this. And because I don't know how to tell him, because he's been doing this for the last 2 years, because we've been together. And I'm like, so I'm just gonna fake it because I want him to feel better. So instead of communicating what is my truth. And I had such a funny experience. It was recently. So the guy said to me, "There's no way that like you can fake an orgasm without me knowing it." And I was like, challenge accepted. I didn't say it, but it was challenge accepted. And we can fake an orgasm to the way that there's no way you're gonna know. And he was shocked. He was like, "No fucking way." And I was like, "You asked for it."
Wow.
There's this beautiful scene from when the Harry meets Sally from the restaurant.
I don't remember that one, but we'll play a clip of that.
Baby. So like play this because it's such a beautiful clip of like women. We're so good in faking an orgasm. It's like
It's scary.
it is scary.
And it's really, it's like, it's also propagating exactly what you don't want to be teaching though, right?
Yes.
There's something in this that I love, which is this, you made a statement I want to repeat, which is approach each woman as not from what worked from the last woman, because quite frankly, that's the only thing we know how to do. And it's the only thing that makes sense. And women are doing the same thing, right? And I remember I actually had this like beautiful pillow, handmade pillow that was of a vulva that was anatomically correct. And I would ask a woman before being sexual, how do you like to be touched? Like, show me how you like to be touched. And sometimes it would be like this. Sometimes it was like this. Sometimes it was fingers inside. Sometimes it was fingers in all places. But interesting, a lot of women would say, I don't know. No one's ever asked me that question before. Or when we go and I have a format called RMSL, Ready to Make a Special Lover. And it's a conversation. And one of the questions, and we've heard this before in RBDSMA, but I like mine better, shorter and easier. But one of the questions is your desires. How do you want to be touched before? And you have this conversation. I have this conversation almost always before entering a sexual situation. And at the end of that conversation, quite frankly, there are many times that we don't go into a sexual encounter because I'm like, this is not going to be good for me, or this is not going to be good for this other person. And it makes it so I have less sexual encounters, but when I do have them, they're always great. Because as a man, I can go in and be like, okay, great. You want to be taken, you want to be spanked, you want to be choked, you want it doggy style, and it's like, great, I now know that I can do the things that you want to do. So I can come in and I feel like, let's go. And I feel confident because otherwise I'm just guessing and doing the things that have worked with previous partners. And that's the only thing we can do without a conversation, without asking the question, how do you like to be touched? And what a beautiful conversation. And you need to be okay that if you have that conversation and you're like, someone's like, I want you to cut me and pee on me. And at the end, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. If that's really what you desire, that's not what I desire in this connection. It's not what I desire. And those desires can change from person to person, from day to day. Some days you might just want to be soft and slow with no expectation for penetration and just be with me and say nice things. Other days you might be like, ugh. And that might depend on your cycle, what cycle you're in.
It does. It's actually like really like our cycle really influences where we are in our sexuality. So when you are in the relationship with a woman, it's really good to know for you as a man, where is her cycle, which phase she is, because then you can understand if you span her ass, if she's gonna be turned on by that, or she's gonna just fucking hit your face because she's like, I don't like that. So it's important to know where the woman is in her cycle. And something what you just shared about just like seeing like every woman as a different woman, which is like so beautiful. So like whenever I'm interacting with like a new partner, I'm like inviting him. I'm like, can we create the inner map of our sexuality and just really take time and just see how this feels, how that touch feels, like what kind of touch we like, because there's like different types. Like, am I touching you only with my fingertips, or you want a more like earthy or fiery touch, and just creating this inner map. So whenever I'm like taking a man on a journey, I'm like, forget everything you know about sexuality, because more you're going to bring from your past, more stories we already have. And if we're coming as two completely empty vessels, there's nothing we know. And we're coming from this like a curiosity of like, how does it feel if I touch you this way? Does it feel good? How it feels when I'm gonna blow on your neck? How does it feel when I'm gonna like eye gaze? How does it feel when I'm gonna just really stroke your neck or whatever it's there? And this way we're creating this inner map, being so present with every single touch, with every single kiss. And yes, in this inner map, maybe it's gonna be that the woman's gonna be more kink and sexual. So yes, so then there's like more fire whenever I'm getting closer to her bum and she wants me to grab her, and then how she wants to be grabbed. So like, yes, just create the inner map. It works perfectly.
Let's demonstrate the different types of touch, because you reference them, the water, fire, but I don't think a lot of people out there know the difference between the touches. And can we demonstrate?
Yeah.
So here's how many different touches? There's four?
Four.
Here's the 4 different types of touch we're going to demonstrate here. First.
So you start from just actually asking your partner. It's like, sweetheart, because we're just meeting each other, so I have a desire to understand what kind of touch you like, because the touch which I like might be different than the one you like. So I'm going to touch you 4 different ways, and tell me which one resonates the most. Close your eyes, because it's all about a feeling. So this is a very gentle, airy touch. Just with the fingertips. And it's like super important, because now I'm touching Joe with a lot of presence. But if I'm gonna just turn around and start just kind of like looking around, thinking, oh my God, what am I gonna cook for dinner? Did I pick up the laundry? He's gonna feel that. There is a difference in the presence, because the presence is the most important. Then there's more water. So I'm gonna go more with like adding more hands to that, and just like really touching more, like imagine that you water, and then the hands just go all over the body, and my waters connect to the waters of the other human. Then there's earth. So with earth, we're really, really grounding. So it's almost like imagine that you're a cat, and this cat just like walks. So this is another one. And there's a fire, and with the fire, we can add a lot of like, So yeah.
Let's do that again, short version. So here's the 4 different types of touch we're going to demonstrate.
So
Number 1.
The first touch, just really airy, gentle, just with the fingertips and a lot of presence. Then the water, you move more like a water through the hand. Then there's earth. So it's more grounding touch. And there is a fire which just like moves faster.
Thank you. So we have air, water, ground or earth, and fire are the 4 types of touch. For me, oh my gosh, air is so annoying. Drives me crazy. The groundy, the earth and the fire, I'm like, yes, give me more of that. Water, I'm like, yeah, bored. And for you, what's yours?
Air.
Yeah, I believe it. I've noticed actually a lot of women prefer, or a lot of the tantric women that I engage with are more air and water. And yeah, for me, I actually get shamed all the time by, if people have done a lot of tantric work, they're like, you need to be more present with the airy touch. And I'm like, no, stop trying to tell me what I like. If I tell you that, no, you should like doggy style, that you would be appalled if I told you that. So I often find women try to make men like things that they actually don't like because they see it as some higher, more noble type of touch or a higher or noble type of sexuality, where I would actually, it's like, no, I love grounding and fiery touch. Oh, it feels so good. It makes me relax. It makes me feel loved. And I find airy touch just kind of annoying and irritating. Almost like if someone is like, if you put like a hair inside your ear, or you have a hair in your nose. It's like, ugh, ugh. So thank you for demonstrating that. So yours is air and water.
And I can speak to that piece because a lot of women is a little bit afraid of very fiery and earthy touch, because most of the time when I'm getting more into my fire, my partner gets arousal and he wants to have sex. When the really like slow and airy and watery touch, it just guides nowhere. It just for the pure presence. It doesn't guide anywhere. So I'm not afraid that my partner is gonna get arousal because he wants to have sex right away. Because a lot of women, and this is again what I'm experiencing working with women, it's like sometimes they wanna cuddle at night. They wanna just like, you go into bed and you just wanna cuddle and just be a little bit juicy with your partner. But a lot of women don't do it because this might sound for the man like an invitation. And she's like, I don't wanna have sex. I just wanna cuddle. I wanna touch. I wanna have the intimacy, which doesn't guide anywhere. So she's stopping herself from exploring touch with her partner because she's like, I don't want him to just right away want sex with me. So I'm like, so I'm just gonna, stay a little bit longer in the shower so he can fall asleep and then I can just have my rest. And that's the sad reality, babes. And that's why there's like a lot of women who fake orgasms. That's why the people are like really moving away from each other because they don't understand that building intimacy, it's something else. It's not sexuality only. It's what you shared. It's like looking at each other's eyes, or intimacy. Like intimacy can be like, I'm gonna make you a tea and I'm just gonna bring this cup of tea to you with so much presence. And those are all those like a little things we can do for each other.
Yeah, going back to the love play, and what I'm hearing is you want to feel loved and cared for and thought of. And for you, it's red roses. For other women, it could be a different love language. It could be the quality time or gifts, or maybe it could be touch and so on. And I think it's just important. One of the questions that we ask each other in our book is, what are your love languages? And along with many others of just like, what is your lifestyle like, right? And so it's like important to know the types of touch that your partner wants or your lover wants. It's important to know their love languages because, for me, I mean, with my ex-wife, one of the hardest lessons I ever learned was love is not enough. And at this point with her, we didn't know what the hell a love language was. That book was not even out there. And when I learned about the love languages later, which I still think is a simplified version of the love languages, but an excellent way to categorize on a high level, is that she would come spend the day cooking and cleaning. I could come home from my business, and all I would want her to do is hug me, kiss me, throw her arms around me, spend time with me, touch me. And all she wanted her way of giving love was cooking and cleaning. I didn't care about that. Her love language was acts of service. And when I came home, mine was touch and quality time. So she would be exhausted from doing things at home and then wouldn't spend any quality time or touch me. And I felt not loved. And for me, I didn't care if she did the dishes or cooked. I would rather hire someone and order from Uber Eats or whatever it was back then. And so we were missing each other a lot. She was putting so much energy into showing acts of service, and I actually didn't care about the acts of service. It's not that I didn't appreciate that hard work. It didn't make me feel loved. And I was spending so much quality time and giving her the touch because that was what I thought she wanted to feel loved. And I wasn't doing those acts of service because for me, why would I be wasting my time cleaning the house when I can hire someone and I'd rather be doing much other things? So, man, that was a hard lesson to just learn those lessons of, you know, that love is not enough and you need those skills. Part of the skills you're sharing is knowing each other's language for intimacy, which is all the things that you're teaching.
Yeah. And it's like, as you say, it's so important to learn those things. Like, what is your erotic blueprint? What is your love language? How you want to be touched? How, like, what would make you feel safe? All of those little things are important.
Let's talk about this one. How can a man make a woman feel safe?
Acknowledge her. I mean, it's like each of us is different. Yeah. So it's not that there's like a ultimate formula for all of us, but I would say like a lot of women needs this reassurance, like you are important. I'm not going anywhere. I'm choosing you. You're beautiful. There's this beautiful, it's from Alison Armstrong, when the woman is getting ready and the man is just like sitting on a couch and waiting, and he's patient. He's just waiting, and she's just running, and she's like putting one clothes, and he's not making a comment, so she's changing, and she's bringing another dress. He's not making a comment, so she goes again. The moment you pause her, you look at her eyes, you grab her arms and say, "Sweetheart, you look absolutely gorgeous. I can wear 2 different shoes," and I'll be like, I'm ready to go. Because there is something called a pleaser, and it's not a people pleaser. One thing is a people pleaser, the other thing is a pleaser. So we as a woman, we have this pleaser. We want to make my man happy, whatever that means. It's like, that's why I'm cooking for you. That's why, like, your ex-wife, she would spend so much time cooking for you. That's why when I'm putting my clothes, yes, I'm going to put it for myself if I have awareness around that, but I also want to look good for you. So like when we go somewhere, I want to feel desired by you, because then if you desire me, I'm going to feel more safe. So those are all those little things which can make me feel more safe as a woman. And it's different for a man.
Kasia, what are some ways that a man can make a woman feel more safe?
Give her reassurance that you are choosing her, that she's beautiful, that just text her during the day, send her a lovely message like, I miss you, or I think about you. Those are those little things. We really, really care about those things, because it's like you are goal oriented. When you're at work, you're sitting with your laptop, you're on the meeting, you work, done. But we're waiting for your call. We're thinking, oh, what I can cook for him? How can I make him feel more happy? How can I make him feel more love? And those are all those little things. And the difference is how we operate. We have a different operation system. You as a man and we as a woman. You are goal oriented, and we are just collecting everything from here. What would make you feel more safe as a man?
What makes me feel safe as a man from a woman is, one, knowing she's going to give unconditional love. Meaning, if I feel like I get sick and I'm losing all my money and I feel like she's going to take off out the door, unsafe. Also, that she is prioritizing me makes me feel safe. I don't need and don't even want to be the top of her list all the time. That's a lot of responsibility to get all that energy. But I want to know that if she has the choice to have sex with me or another man, she's choosing me. If she has the choice to go on a trip with me or another man, she's choosing me. And that she knows this is the person I want to be with. So there's that safety here. That makes me feel safe. It also makes me feel safe when she's in integrity. meaning her words and her actions are in alignment. If she says she's going to do something, she shows up. When she's constantly late and canceling, I'm out. I feel really unsafe.
I'm going to speak to this.
Yes, let me summarize that first, though.
Okay.
Here's some of the ways that I feel really safe as a man from a woman is knowing she's going to stick by me no matter what. That through sickness, through health, whether I lose my money or not, she's going to be with me. 2, that she is prioritizing me when there's an option to prioritize other people. And that doesn't mean I don't want her to have an amazing career or be with her friends and family. It's just, I want to know when it comes down to it, she's going to consider me in her decisions. And I think those are the 2 big ways that I feel really safe. And also that she's just going to choose having sex with me over someone else is a big safety. And the last one is her words are in integrity with her actions. If she says she's going to show up or do something, she shows up and she does that. Not that it has to be perfect or she has to get it right all the time, but in general, there's a intention and an integrity to her words.
So I'm going to speak to the last piece, and it's beautifully explained in Understanding Women by Alison Armstrong. And she gives this example of like, there is a couple and he wants to move somewhere and he wants to take her with him. And she's like, yes, I'm moving to this island or whatever, the other side of the world with you. And she's already started to pack. And the next day she comes, she's like, I'm not going anywhere. And then he goes like, what the fuck? I mean, what just happened? So basically, we are willing to follow you depending how much we feel loved. So if I'm gonna feel love in a moment, I can follow you, I can move to another country. But the moment you're gonna say a little thing that I'm not gonna feel loved, I'm like, done. I don't wanna do it. So it's also like important to realize how you as a man, how you can make me feel love. And everything comes back to the communication. How I can feel. And everything comes back to the communication. It's like, do I even know how I want to be loved? And just like express it, create a manual. It's like, this is what I do with the guys. I'm like, okay, this is the manual to Kasia. So it's easier because you as a man, you would love, like, as far as I know, and as far as I understand the masculine energies, it's like, you want to show up. So if you know how to show up, you will. But don't expect it all for all the women. I mean, don't expect the men to read your mind. They cannot.
Really? Because if you find a man that can read a woman's mind, he is going to be the richest man in this world. I will take that class and pay anything for it. There's a statement that I often say that's beautiful is, a man's opinion to him is a woman's feelings are to her. Both require respect and listening, because many women don't understand that if a man does not feel respected and trusted, he does not feel safe. I should have added that one. And if a woman's feelings do not feel respected, it's not going to work out. She doesn't feel trusted. So I think it's important for women out there to know that and it's totally fine to question a man's opinions or his decisions if it's done the right way. And if we're constantly as a man, if I'm like, I think we need to move to Alaska, and you're like, there's ways to communicate that you don't agree with that, or you don't, because if you're like, that's a crazy idea, why would we do that? One of the sexiest things a man can receive is to feel trusted, because he wants to feel like the provider, the driver, the vision. But what many men miss on that in the unhealthy masculine, they try to take control and force things. But what I've noticed is a man actually listens to the woman's feelings and says, how do you want to feel? I want to feel like I'm in a beautiful house surrounded with my friends and flowers and there's fruits in the garden. And a man can take that and say, okay, babe, this is what we're going to do. We're going to invest our money here. We're going to move to Bali. We're going to build our dream house based on the money we took here. And then she can just relax and be like, know that the man knows what she needs, knows how she wants to feel. And then you're like, oh my God, I can just relax. The house, this is just going to happen. And I don't have to try to control or manipulate or try to change anything. That's when a woman can relax and she can surrender. But a woman can't surrender unless she feels like her feelings and her needs are respected and are being taken care of and are considered. And a man can't relax if he doesn't feel like his decisions and his opinions are being respected and considered.
Yeah, it's beautifully said, Joe. And what I can add to that, it's almost like I can follow the man and I can trust his decisions if he's trusting his own decisions. So if you trust yourself, then I can trust you. But the moment you started out, I'm gonna fucking catch that. I'm gonna challenge you. And then, because I mean, we're constantly testing the masculine. We're testing you to check if I can surrender, if I can follow you, if I can trust you. So the woman is constantly testing the men.
And my encouragement is we hate this shit. It does not make us feel good at all. What we love to hear is the way that you feel about a decision, because then we get to be the fixers, the providers. So if you're just like, are you sure about that? I don't know about that. I don't agree with this or that, it just demasculates us completely. So the encouragement is to say, you know, love, when you were talking about that decision to move to Alaska, I was noticing that I was feeling really uncomfortable and feeling like fear that I'm not going to have the right environment for my kids. And then the man goes, oh my God, well, I don't want that. So he's like, okay, well then maybe a better decision is we move to Hawaii because it's warm and there's a community there, or whatever it is. So my encouragement to the woman is be very careful how you are challenging a man's decisions. Do it with love, and instead of challenging the decision directly, tell him how that makes you feel. Share your fears, share your concerns. And when you do it that way, I'm telling you that man's going to be like, yes, this is my woman. Of course I want you to feel safe. Of course I want you to feel abundant. And then he's going to actually change his decisions because he wants to make you feel good. But when you say, I don't think we should move to Alaska, that's a really bad idea. It's just, we're just demasculated completely.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the things when I work with women. A lot of women just like the masculine, the man. It's like I want him to make a decision, and the moment he makes a decision, I'm just like I'm challenging him with this decision. I'm like, sweetheart, can you choose dinner, like a restaurant for dinner tonight? And the moment you choose the restaurant, I'm like, actually no, I don't want to go there. And it's like, this is our nature. So also like, I'm encouraging women to trust. So if you're asking him to make a decision, trust the decision. Don't doubt it, but allow yourself to follow. Because there might be such a beautiful surprise on the end of that.
I would also share what I've learned with women is this. Women love to be invited into a decision and then see how that decision feels. So, and they don't like the question, babe, where do you want to eat for dinner tonight? What I've noticed works really well is this. I am thinking we're going to do sushi at this place or a steakhouse that's kind of a heavier meal at this place. What feels right to you? Because now you can only need to try to feel into 2 different things or 3 different things. And then it becomes a very easy, you're like, you feeling sushi? Because women are very good at feeling what they want. And men are good at creating the structure. So bringing structure to the decisions for a woman and giving them limited choices to feel into it. And then not being attached to the answers. So babe, I'm thinking we can do sushi tonight here, or we can do a steakhouse over here. for tonight. How do those feel to you? And you're like, because now you can only have 2 decisions to feel into instead of being, babe, where do you want to eat? And you're like, I don't know what I feel like, you choose. Okay, let's do this. You're like, no, let's do that. No, let's do that. No. How many of us men have gone through this? A lot, all of us. So by giving just a couple options, then what happens is the woman could say, oh yeah, I really feel sushi tonight. Or what they say is, I'm not feeling that. I'm really feeling like just doing something really light like a salad. Because now you're inviting them to feel into those decisions. So it's creating the structure, inviting the feelings. How does that land?
It feels amazing. It feels really good. And I can give another option also, which also works with women.
Great.
So basically, we love surprises. So you can say something like, baby, I have such an amazing surprise for you. Guess where I'm taking you for dinner? And take her to the first place which she mentioned.
I love this.
Also works.
Yes. Yeah. Or we could say, it's your favorite place. Or it doesn't even matter. Just wherever she says,
Whatever
that's where
she
you
says,
take her.
This is where you take her.
Oh my God. I am going to use that from now on. Sorry. If you ever try to date me and I use this, I'm sorry. I learned it from Kasia Nast. Baby, guess where I'm taking you for dinner?
Let me think. We go to Zest.
That's exactly where I'm taking you.
Mostly. I think you're taking me to mostly.
I actually am taking you mostly tonight.
Oh my God, baby.
Yeah, I know how much you love
You
that.
know me so well.
Yeah. And guess what I'm going to bring before the dates?
Red roses?
How did you know?
Oh my goodness.
Ronnie, please order red roses right now.
How easy. Like, we are really easy, and everything comes back to communication. We need to ask you a question the same as you need to ask a question. And because instead of like assuming that we know each other, and sometimes people are like, we're 3 years in a relationship, we're 10 years in a relationship, and we feel like, oh, I know this person. But we evolve, we change. Something what was real in the beginning of the relationship is completely not real now. And then we're like, oh my God, but you liked it. Yes, but I changed. And also like allowing this change to happen. It's like, you evolve. Yes, of course I did. And I'm grateful for the change.
Hey, I'm just thinking of you. What would 10 years in a relationship be like with you? The amount of experiences, oh my God. It'll be some wild shit.
Yeah, I mean, I keep men alive. Like, they feel alive because I keep myself very alive.
I don't know, love. Some of the men look like they got got hit with a steam truck after you, to be quite honest with you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, because I ended up being the counselor for most of them. So, yes. But I've also seen you just grow so much, love, and really come into a different place, which I think is really beautiful. And I'm sure the tantric work has helped that a lot. It's helped me a lot, for sure.
Yeah, it did. The tantric path helped me because I don't need to prove anything to anyone, because I found peace with myself. So I'm like, if I'm starting, there's like a conversation which is supposed to be really fire, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. And the man is like, what? And I'm like, you're right. Because I don't need to be right. I don't need you to be wrong. It's like we can look at it, it's this beautiful way of looking at the problem. If there's like 2 people, there's a man and there's a woman, and there's a problem in between us, and then we just go back and forth like, you're right, you're wrong, blah, blah. And then if we move the problem, we talked about it so many times, if you move the problem here, and instead of like looking like this, we just like sit like this, and we're looking, finding the solution, and we're team. And it's like, it solves so many problems and conflicts in the relationships. Just like cutting the cords when there is an argument from the beginning, cut the cords that someone needs to be right, someone is wrong, because we're a team in that. And that's beautiful to way of like approaching conflict.
For sure. And you know, a lot of the conflicts that are happening in relationships is exactly that. You're not approaching the angle like you're on the same team of like, how do we come back to love? How do we come back to connection? Instead of being like, I'm right, you're wrong. And I've noticed that you cannot be heard until the other person feels heard,
Yes.
which creates this catch-22 chicken and egg. So someone has to step up and be like, you know what, I'm really hurt. And you're like, I'm really hurt. And I want you to know how hurt I am. And you're like, but I want you to know how much you hurt me. And then we don't go anywhere. So someone needs to step up and say, you know what, feeling really hurt. And I know you are too. I just want to like listen and try to understand you. Like, are you open to sharing what's really going on from you? And then you share, and then once you feel heard, you're much more likely to listen and try to understand where I'm coming from also. And then we can move on. So that's a good communication or relationship trick, is how to step up and listen first when both parties don't want to listen.
And there's this beautiful saying that you need two people to start the fight, but you need one person to finish it. And this is exactly what you're saying. If I'm able to really like move the ego on the side that I need to be right in that, and really say, you know what? Okay, let's solve it. Let's just pause. Let's receive the breath. Let's be present with each other. Let's sit and meditate for 5 minutes. And it's right away we're moving from this like a very fiery animal, like survival stage into like, okay, what is the real trigger? Because most of the time, the trigger, it's not about us. It's about pain point, which you just touched by your words or by your action, a pain or the wound, which is within me, which happened like, I don't know, a few years ago, whatever. But I'm in this moment, I'm not able to see that because you heard me. And there's this beautiful saying about the fingers that when we point the fingers to someone, there are like 3 fingers pointing at me. So I'm like, what is this actually telling me about me? And it's beautiful. So I'm looking at the triggers because it's like with the amount of work I did, it's really hard to trigger me. So whenever I get triggered, I see those triggers as a blessings because there's so much information in the moment when I get triggered. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the wound, that's the pain point. How can I really acknowledge this part of me which got triggered in this moment? How can I heal that place? How can I love this place even more instead of saying, oh, you did this or that?
I love that. So true. I teach that. I actually have a free AI tool called the you to I statement. And you put in your you statement. You made me feel this way. You didn't pick up the kids in time. And it will transform into not only and that we call that a level 1 communication. You did this to me. Level 2 is I felt hurt when this happened. And I have a level 3 communication tool that you can download it on theconnectionmap.com, where you put in your statement. The level 3 communication framework I've created looks something like this. You know, love, I know you love me a lot and you've been putting a lot of effort into taking care of the kids and the family. But when you forgot to pick up the kids from soccer and they were there for 2 hours, I felt hurt and I felt like I couldn't trust that you can show up all the time. And I'm noticing in myself that a little distrust there, and I don't want to distrust you because I know you show up most of the time. And I would love to figure out, and maybe there's a way that we can figure out to put things on your calendar better. Like, what do you think would work better for you so that doesn't happen again? That's like a level 3 communication, and people can use that tool.
Absolutely. And I can add like tiny little, how do you call it? The distinction?
Yes.
So instead of using but, because in this beautiful sentence which you use the word but. So basically the bad crosses everything what you said before the bad. So you can say and. So like you are such an amazing father, and I know that you're doing the best you can in your capacity with the work, and kids are missing you. So can we find some time together, maybe during the weekend, so we can actually spend some time together? Because if I'm going to say that like you're doing so much and you're putting a lot of work, but kids are missing you, it's a different energy. So like
I agree.
yeah, and it's always like also like kicking out the like always never. It's like in the arguments always never. I also like I add this like forever, always never forever, because it's like none of this is true.
We should remove those statements from any conflict communication in general, because it's literally, it's the worst to hear that you always forget the kids. No, I forgot them once. You know, amazing. So as we come to the end, is there anything else that you, this fully expressed woman, needs to say to the world?
Just activate the sound, breath, and movement. I mean, I feel like world would be such a better place if we would be able to fully connect to the breath, sound, and movement and the presence, which are the 4 pillars of Tantra. Oh, I can add something else. So I have 4 pillars of creating the relationship with another human, of creating depth. And the 4 pillars is the rawness, intimacy, vulnerability, and truth. So those 4 pillars allows me to go deeper. So if I can be raw with whatever it's happening, if I can be vulnerable, if I can be intimate, and intimate the way we talked about intimacy today, and if I can stand in my truth, then I can go deeper. So if I can go deeper and I can be myself, that creates safety for me, because I can feel safe to be who I am without being judged by you. And the same way as I'm not judging you, I'm like, be whoever you are. That's beautiful. Beauty of this world is that we can be different, and that's magical.
Thank you, Kasia, for being here. And we can find you online at Kasia Nast on Instagram. Where else do we find you?
Mostly Instagram. My field is definitely Instagram.
And we can find all your programs for men, for women. I'm going to be speaking at your summit coming up, which I'm very excited about, with Adam Roa, Ananda Sarita, who I've interviewed before. If you want to check out, Ananda Sarita was one of your teachers for Tantra. She's a badass for sure. So follow Kasia on Instagram. And if you want any of the communication tools, any of the tools that I have, all for free on theconnectionmap.com. Follow for some more. Hopefully you found something very useful in this. And what are some of the things that we talked about? We talked about the different types of touch. We talked about how to be a better lover. What else?
About communication, about solving problems, about creating the inner map. I feel like we talked about so many things, Joe.
I know. Amazing. Thank you guys for joining. Have a great day.